Do you play that guitar back there?
Not well, but yeah, a little bit. I can hack my way through like a youth director amount of chords, basically. Episode 474 of the TV Dudes, recorded February 15th, 2024. Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This week, we're diving into Amazon's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It's the latest take on the franchise concept that refuses to die no matter how many hits you take out of it. It's the latest take on the franchise concept that refuses to die no matter how many hits you take out on it.
And just to be clear, we're not talking about the Scott Bakula series from the 90s, the very famous 2007 sequel pilot of the movie that never saw the light of day, if you are confused about that. Or even the 2005 movie version. That's the topic of our Patreon discussion this week.
No, this is about the brand new Donald Glover and Maya Erskine series over on Amazon that just dropped all of its episodes on February 2nd, 2024. And we're here to break it down. But before we get to all that, I'm Les.
And I'm Nick. And we're the TV Dudes. And this week, we have a special guest, Mike Moody Garcia. Say hello, Mike.
Hello. Sorry, I watched the Bakula.
Oh man, it's actually really good. We watched one of them. Yeah, Maria Bello's great. Little Tim.
I was gonna say
first episode.
I love Maria Bello. I love Bakula. Like, this reboots the shit. Yeah.
This is great. It seems so 90s. I mean, that's the style now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know about you, Mike, but this week we watched a ton of television, and as is our way, we kept a diary.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Mike, what you been watching?
I've really been into, and this is connected to my entire season watch of the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I needed a break in between what was happening on that show. Luckily, Netflix has put out the new Masters of the Universe season.
Revolutions?
Revolution, yeah. So I really enjoyed that. I binged it all in like 2 days. It's a cartoon, I know. The episodes are really short, but yeah, if you have any nostalgia at all for the old series or for the toys or whatever, this is going to be in your wheelhouse. It's super fun. The Kevin Smith, there's a lot. There's not as much Kevin Smithness in it as you might think there is. He does a good job of weaving in like mythology from the original cartoon series, from just like the stuff that Hasbro or Mattel would write on the back of the cardboard stocks when you would buy the toys, and of the comics, and it's just a fun jam. I know a lot of people had some issues with the first season, the Revelation. I like that one a lot, and this one was really fun too. But yeah, I haven't really been diving into a bunch of prestige stuff as of late. I've kind of just been eating a bunch of TV candy lately.
Sure.
Yeah, I hear that.
Well, as to how much Kevin Smith is it, I think we can answer it with one question. How much Fisto is in it?
Oh,
Well,
man.
you do see the ghost of Fisto, but Fisto's pretty much dead. I don't know if Mattel was like, "Hey, we got to take Fisto out of here. He's just going to run wild with it in season 2."
You kill that character off. You kill that off right now.
Kill him off.
Fisto, that's great.
Yeah. The gap between the part 1 and part 2 of Revelations lost me. And so like I remember watching the part 1 and then I just kind of forgot about it. And then a couple of weeks ago we threw one on, and I ended up watching like 3 of them in a row. I was really, it is a lot of fun. Mostly at this point I'm tearing through the part 2 because I want to get to the Revolutions one, which just looks even crazier.
Yeah, Shatner's in it this season, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah, we accidentally hit play, just like searched over and hit play on Netflix, and it actually took me to the new one for a moment, and like the intro was the giveaway. I was like, man, Shatner's not in this. What? I'm like, no, we're in the wrong.
Yeah, Shatner's in it, and unlike the first season, this they didn't break up the season this time. There's only 5 episodes, but it's the storytelling is really compact.
No, it's a shame that Fisto. No, it's actually a good thing that Fisto is dead now in a different universe. Like, we can bring him into a different universe and use my script for his revenge plot, Count of Monte Fisto.
Yes. I mean,
I would watch.
I would watch that. Though I feel like I've seen that box art in a porn store somewhere. Like Count of Monte Fisto just sounds like, you know.
That's been done.
Yeah, surely, right?
Nick, you're such a hack.
Right. It's still
wow.
It's still not the best one of those I've ever seen was a movie called Urethral Weapon.
Oh, that's so good.
Right? I didn't rent it. I did not rent it, but I stood there in front of the box for a moment and was like, respect. That's great.
Yeah.
Or terrible.
It's like, do these people have a Patreon? I just want to give them money every month.
It's just the virtual tip jar. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of animated, did you guys see the trailer for the new 90s X-Men cartoon reboot?
I did. Is Jean pregnant, or is that Madeline Pryor? What is going on there?
I hope it's Madeline Pryor, because that series back in the 90s got crazy and deep into the X-Men comic lore, and I don't see any reason why this one wouldn't. So
no, I hope they go full on with it. Yeah, the trailer looked really fun. I, like everything else on the internet now with trailers, I had to take a few minutes and figure out, is this a Marvel trailer? Is this real? Or am I about to get punked by some like AI generated fan bullshit? Yeah. Like, it drives me insane. I realize there are more important places in society where we have eroded truth and it's dangerous. But nerd movie trailers is particularly where I'm bothered.
I agree. I actually still read online newspapers like, LA Times and New York Times. So I just kind of stick to that. I don't do like, comicbookfart.net or whatever.
No,
it is,
yeah. Giant farting robot or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't do any of those. Yeah. Nick, how about you? I know you and I watched an animated thing over on Max. We watched the Justice League and Ruby part 2.
We watched the part 1 and we were actually pretty impressed with it.
I knew nothing about Ruby and was not expecting to like that at all. And I actually ended up hitting play on the part 2, which I think surprised Nick because I was so surprised by part 1. And then part 2 was just okay. Meh.
Is this on Max?
Yeah, it's over on Max. It actually had been out because Max's algorithm is so bad. I have watched on Max, I think I've watched nearly every DC animated movie, Warner Brothers DC animated movie. Yeah. Down to, the terrible ones, the Aquaman was I'll hit play on almost any of them. Same with it, My Adventure with Superman, and the same with this. Max, for whatever reason, does not bother showing me that these are on at all. Like, I had to, like, enough months had went by that I went, surely that Ruby part 2 is out. And I searched for it and was like, and then Nick was like, I am, and it's been out for a few months. I'm like, fuck, I'm not worried about Skynet at all. Sorry.
It's like, no, here's Property Brothers.
Right. Like, you've watched it. Like, never, not once, never. Yeah.
Here's a Tiny House Hunters. Come on.
So for the part 1, the Justice League all got pulled by Kilgore into like the Ruby universe. And I can't remember the name of it because I know nothing about Ruby. But they got pulled into there, and it made sense that like they got kind of
Remnant is the
name of their world. They got like converted into the Ruby style. They got made into teenagers. They got like clothes, their clothes kind of turned into an older weird style. And then all their powers, instead of being however they normally worked, they all were kind of retrofitted into the way magic works in Ruby. Dust and semblance, or whatever they would call it.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of fun. Like, it took them a minute to figure out that they weren't stripped of their powers. It was just like the muscle you flexed moved a little.
The most impressive one was Jessica Cruz's Green Lantern.
Yes, because there are magic objects in Ruby along with so she just assumed that she needed to go find her ring.
It's got to be the ring. It's not me because I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, which is it was honestly it's part of the reason why Jessica Cruz is one of my favorite Green Lanterns. She deals with real depression issues, which is different from willpower, and it's cool that she gets to explore that. And then in this, like, it was a cool like personal journey in the first one for her to realize that like she's been thinking she needs to find this ring so that she can be of any assistance to the team. And the power's been in, like, it sounds cheesy to say it out loud, but the power was in her the whole time.
Oh.
And it was even more than what they were doing with Flash and stuff. I was really impressed. And then there just wasn't a through line like that in this one. In the second one, the RWBY characters come into the real world. And yeah, their stuff changes, but not as much. It's still done in the Machinima RWBY 3D style. And I wanted it to convert to 2D. Warner Brothers DC style.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to see them in 2D animation. I know that's not really 2D anymore, but
instead it changes their costumes a little bit. They have to use different weapons.
Yeah, there were changes, but I don't know. The second one did not hit it out of the park like I thought it might, based on the first one.
Well, there's no way to make the power thing as interesting. Like, Yang doesn't get her powers from being like part Amazon now or something like.
Right. Yeah, it's not as simple as like, well, all your powers are now dust and semblance based.
It would be fun if like they had, you know, RWBY suddenly became part Kryptonian.
Right. Or something like that. Yeah.
Like, to explain their powers away, like to help them with their relationships with those characters, because RWBY is talking with Superman a lot.
Yeah, they all kind of pair off and have their
adventures,
you know, parallel theme arc buddy. But it just didn't hit me as hard. I did enjoy it. I think if you like RWBY and are really up on the lore, you'll find it worth watching. You probably have already found it and watched it. But I was let down. I was surprised by how good the first one was, and then they didn't end it for me the way they should have. What else you watch, Nick?
I'm just trying to remember, when did we watch Johnny Cage, the animated movie?
Oh man, we did. We did watch Cage Match. Cage Match was freaking awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of those? So not the Mortal Kombat movies. Every Mortal Kombat movie is terrible.
Yeah.
The animated features.
The animated movies that Max did are actually cool stories. Like, if you want to see like a cool kind of actually interesting story about Sub-Zero or Scorpion or who else have they done?
Snowblind was about some character I can't remember.
Yeah,
but it was also Sub-Zero, I think.
But I think they've done. I think this is the fourth one, and they get Joel McHale to be Johnny Cage. He's just freaking awesome. And it is this weird 80s Kung Fury homage to, like, it's just this weird mashup of like 80s music video type shit. Ended up being really fun and hilarious. Like, it serves as a prequel. So like through the whole thing, you're kind of watching it, trying to figure out like, does this quite click in the storyline? It's Mortal Kombat. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But it's great. Like, you're watching Johnny Cage just basically get roped into this crap and not know anything about how that there's anything supernatural possibly. Like, you're just a dude who's been in a bunch of karate tournaments. And like you're like a martial arts movie superstar now. He's in a movie franchise where he plays a killer mime, like John Wick, but a mime. It's great.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I did see that on Max, and I was like, I haven't read or heard a damn thing about these Mortal Kombat movies, so they're probably terrible.
I think it's just that Max cannot be bothered to tell anyone about a movie. If they tell you about a movie, it's because they trashed it and did not put it out.
That's true.
Every Max movie that I have heard real press about
is gone.
Is unseeable. Yeah.
No Coyote movie, Wile E. Coyote movie. I know everything about that movie, but I'll never see it, I guess.
I saw somebody post like, if they really wanted to just, I don't care how much you spend on that Coyote Acme movie, all you had to do was announce it during the Super Bowl, like Cloverfield Paradox, and then drop it right afterwards.
Yeah.
At least half the country would have thrown on Coyote versus Acme after the Super Bowl. And like, you'd have made your damn money back.
I'd throw on that Cloverfield movie, like, night of, and immediately regretted it.
Right. We all regretted it, but we all watched
Imagine if you did it for a good movie.
But yeah, imagine if it had been halfway good.
Yeah.
We also watched The Good Place. We're pretty far into season 4.
Is this a rewatch?
Yeah, rewatch of Good Place. Cool. We realized that, or at least I had not watched, I'd watched season 4 the one time. When it first aired, but I don't think I've made it all the way through on rewatches. I always end up falling off at some point. And so I've seen season 1 like 3-4 times, season 2 2 or 3 times, season 3 a couple times. Season 4 was like brand freaking new. Like, every single episode, even towards the end of season 3, we were like, wait, he gets introduced now? Oh my God, we're doing this now? This already happens? Wow. Like, and then into season 4, I'm it's like brand new. I love it. It's
That's
great.
the best part of a rewatch, man. When everything feels new and you're like, wait, I thought this was later. Ooh, you know?
Yeah, or you know that there's things coming, and while you're waiting on them, you suddenly go, you know what? I honestly had forgotten that they had to go rescue Janet from the bad place.
Right.
Totally forgot all of that. And like,
bad Janet forever. Yeah.
That's what's happening. Yeah, neutral Janets and disco Janets. I'd forgotten all of this. Yeah, freaking awesome.
Oh, I've also been obsessed with True Detective Night Country.
I have not watched it yet. We thought we were going to drop Max, and we ended up keeping it. I've heard good things. I've heard John Hawkes is just tearing it up in it.
John Hawkes is amazing. Everyone in it is amazing. It is so compelling. The characters are so compelling. The mystery is interesting, but I am really enjoying the characters, the more domestic part of the show. The character stories and the character relationships and interactions, and just the dour vibe of Forever Night in Alaska. That's really what I'm digging.
Yeah, because they're doing like a 30 Days a Night thing, right? Like it's just dark. Okay. Night Country, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll have to give that a look. And then Nick, what's new on TNG?
That's right. I watched a couple episodes that only thing notable is that I found Peanut Hamper's Origins, the Exocomps. I saw that episode where Data basically saves them.
Man, wandering through the room and watching him watch Next Gen, we've just been slowly realizing that all the Lower Decks writers did was just literally watch Next Gen straight through and take notes in chronological order. Because like you'll watch an episode and like, oh my god, that's the Lower Decks reference, and then the next episode, oh my god, there's that Lower Decks reference. Oh my god, and then man, he yelled like, it's Peanut Hamper. Like ran in. And Nick, this is your first watch through of Next Gen, correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Well, I watched it a bunch when I was a kid, but never straight through.
Right. You're early in the series then, right? What, like season 3?
Nope, late.
Oh, no, he's in
season 6.
6 now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't rewatched it in forever, so yeah.
Still haven't met Riker's clone. Was looking for that guy.
Nice. Yeah, I had forgotten until he was rewatching them how much the first season really struggles.
It's not good.
It's pretty bad, and there's a lot of let's just skip this one episodes. There's a racist episode. There's one that is
Code of Honor.
Clip show, and it's like episode 3. It's like, come on.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Nick was like, how are we doing a clip show already? What the fuck? Yeah, real weird. And then but it just keeps arcing up. Like there was a point a week or two ago where it kind of fell off Nick's TV diaries, and I was like, what happened? He was like, well, it's too compelling. I can't do other shit while I'm watching it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like each episode's gotten too good. Damn you, Star Trek. So yeah, we're making Nick into a Trekkie. I'm eager to hear what what you do next.
Keep going. Deep Space Nine is the best. Keep going.
I mean, that's the next logical one to do. It's the sequel series. So
Voyager is TNG with a lobotomy, but it's fun.
Okay. I never hear a lot of fans of Voyager.
No. Lisa loves Voyager. Okay. And then what's the one with Archer?
Enterprise. That one is just straight up terrible TV, but fun to watch.
I've seen a few episodes of it. None of it made me want to watch the next episode of it.
It took me a while.
Except that every once in a while there'll be a really fun moment of just like early Starfleet kind of stuff. Like,
right,
no, man, I know in theory that the dilithium crystal reactor is fine, but I don't want to go near it. like I love little moments like that. The Vulcans looking at the Earthlings going, no, but you know it's fine. Walk near it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. What did I watch separate from Nick? Well, I watched the documentary that's out now about the making of We Are the World, called The Greatest Night in Pop, which is fun. I don't think I'd ever fully considered, obviously it was going to be hard to get all those people scheduled on the same night or to whatever. Just the actual real egos of getting all those musicians to be in the same place and then sing around each other and not be weird about it. I don't think I'd really considered like how freakishly difficult and like how much like delicate handling had to be done, and what a fluke it was that came off at all. Like they were literally writing that song like days before they recorded it.
Who's the celeb that's in it that was most compelling to you, but it was a surprise?
Dylan.
Like Dylan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not because he says anything. Like? He doesn't really say anything.
Okay.
You've probably seen the meme of like, you've been uncomfortable, but you've never been Bob Dylan standing in the chorus of We Are the World Uncomfortable. And it's like everyone else singing, like all the greatest singers, all singing, and Bob Dylan just standing there. Like being nice about it, but just standing there. And
he's
long,
like, the thing about me is that I write my songs.
Right. And
not that I'm a good singer.
They do this. So so the whole thing was after the American Music Awards. It's the only way they could get everybody scheduled on the same night. They were all already there for the American Music Awards. Lionel Richie hosted the thing and won like 8 awards while hosting. And then they all went directly afterwards to a secret. They had to keep it super secret. Their fear was if there was a crowd there that all the celebs would just like keep driving and not stop at the studio. But they managed to keep it secret. Everybody came there afterwards. And then it ran until like 9 the next morning. Like they stayed up all night. They didn't put them all in separate booths. It's just a big crowd. They wouldn't let any of their handlers in there. So it's all these like major celebs with no people around them, like none of their handlers. And they said that's the only reason why it worked. Like as soon as their assistants were gone, they were all like fanboys of each other. And so like people would like walk up and like, would you sign my music? Like you're Stevie Wonder. I'm like, yeah, dude, you're Huey Lewis. I mean, you're also famous. But Dylan just stands through the whole thing. Like I agreed to be here. I was told to be here, but I don't know why. Like basically Springsteen asked me and I'm here. And then it gets to the part where they want him to sing one of the solo lines because the song's written so that everybody can sing like one line.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. He can't sing like Bob Dylan.
Oh.
So like they want him to do the impression. And he doesn't. And he gets up there and just sings it like a person. and like you could just, the whole room's like, oh fuck. Sings? Like he just sings like a guy with no like just a tone deaf human. And and like no Dylan-ness, no nothing, like nothing that would make you think this guy's like a god of music. And everybody's like, oh crap, it's like 6 a.m. How do we do this? Stevie Wonder can do a Bob Dylan impression.
Wow.
And Stevie Wonder pulled everybody around the piano and played it. And then Stevie Wonder sang the song like Bob Dylan would do it. And then Bob Dylan just literally mimics Stevie mimicking Bob.
What?
It's insane. They have to show him how to do like it's like if somebody came up to one of the like Christopher Walken, it was like, no. This is how you talk. And then showed him the impression or like if somebody had to walk Goldblum through doing it, like it's hilarious. And then he goes and does it perfect. It's like you could see the light bulb go off of like, oh, got it.
That makes no sense.
No, it was hilarious. It was so weird. They're all so tired at this point in the night. And like Al Jarreau's hammered drunk. Like the whole thing's just a really weird doc. It's not like it's groundbreaking or crazy or anything. And it's, a whole lot of people tooting their own horns about like how much We Are the World might not have done for anybody. I know it raised a lot of money, but also it's not that much money. But it was a fun doc. Was
Brian Wilson part of that crew?
No, I don't believe so. If he was there, I mean, even if he was there, he was not there. Those are not great years for Wilson.
Yeah, he was probably still in bed.
Yeah, there's an anecdote about John Lennon, like Brian Wilson being backstage and introducing himself to Lennon like 4 or 5 times in a row. Like really not great years for Brian Wilson. Mm-hmm. But all in all, it's pretty good. Like it's odd watching everybody get nervous. Like these are superstars, and like they're like you're standing next to Tina Turner, hoping that like when it comes time for you to sing, that you don't fuck up because she's next to you and she didn't. And, it's just wild. Also watched a documentary called Mostly Harmless. That was a little bit darker.
Right, that looks good.
It's pretty cool. They act like the dude is the evilest dude ever. You're going to find out he's like the evilest dude ever. He's not. It's not like they found Jack the Ripper or anything, but it's weird in modern times to find a body on the Appalachian Trail, not far from civilization. It's not like he was way out in the middle of nowhere. This isn't Into the Wild where he couldn't have walked back. He just didn't. It seems like he just laid in a tent pretty near civilization and starved to death. And when they set out to try to figure out who he is, no one knows him by anything but his trail name. And so then the cops give up, or don't give up, but it becomes cold. And 2 different internet groups take it over. And they spend years posting this in every conceivable hiker group, lost person group. Finally, a DNA company figures out at least what region of the country his people would have been from. And they finally figure out who this dude is. But by this time, by the time they figure out who he is, people have really latched on and projected, well, he's got kind eyes. That sweetheart, how did he die?
Mm-hmm.
And like, so that by the time some shit comes out about him of like, well, there's the 4 women who said he nearly beat them to death and would never speak to him again. And is his grave still somewhere they could piss on? Like he's loathed. And then they touch back on a couple of the people that helped, figure out who he was. And they're like, well, I just don't know if I believe that. I'm like, cool. That's how he had a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
even in death, second chances.
Right. And like the cops are pretty much the only ones that are like, yeah, this happens. He's just a person. He's not a saint. He's not your ex. He's not like someone you lost. He's just a dude. Like how the guy from Wired magazine that helped really get the story out was like, yeah, the sad fact is no one looked for him because he's an asshole.
God damn.
It's like, damn, but also true. You don't go years without anyone claiming your body. When they finally tell his family and they're like, oh,
yeah, okay.
I mean, we hadn't talked to him in a while. It's like, holy shit. Cool, interesting documentary. Just, you don't think you could, I would not believe you could be that lost in modern times anymore. And no one, there's no record of you. Like no fingerprints, no nothing. You never left an imprint anywhere. It's wild. Also watched Easy Money with Rodney Dangerfield and Joe Pesci.
Okay.
I can't believe P.G. O'Rourke co-wrote that movie. It's terrible. It's as terrible and of its time as it was when my stepdad probably first showed it to me when I was a kid. I can't believe that the premise of that movie, which is that his mother-in-law leaves his family like $10 million if he can stay sober and lose a bunch of weight for a year. That starts at the hour, like halfway through the movie, like at the hour mark, almost 45-minute mark. Like the first half of the movie is just Rodney Dangerfield fucking around with Joe Pesci.
Mm-hmm.
Just vamping.
Just Rodney Dangerfield being weird. I don't think he'd done anything but Caddyshack before this, which means this is like his 2nd time on camera. Just a wreck of a movie that still exists. We watched episode of Letterkenny, watched The Circle, which is, man, I think I might have seen that once before, and it's forgettable the 2nd time. That's the Tom Hanks movie about
and Emma Watson.
Like Sinister Apple and Emma Watson. Yeah.
Oh, that's one of the worst movies ever made.
Oh my God.
It's
you want to talk about
nearly
shit
unwatchable
bed at the end of the movie? Like it acts like it's going to say something. There's stuff to be said, and then just no.
Mm-mm.
What if we just don't? She doesn't learn shit. We don't learn shit. I was so mad at the end of that movie.
That to poor be that guy who carves things out of wood.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, no, her friend who just gets destroyed. Like, I mean, destroyed. Like, and then she more text clearly the answer at the end of the movie. Oh my God, what a terrible movie.
But what a fuck you week for you, Les.
Oh man, it was really not a great movie week. Also watched Fargo season 3, which was fantastic. I'm going all out of order on Fargo's. I had never watched Fargo. Season 5 was so good. I'm going back. Finished season 3. Went back and watched season 2. And then we are now watching season 1, which I'd never seen. The OG Fargo television series season, which I'd never actually watched.
Why'd you stay away from Fargo for all these years?
I'd watched the pilot with Billy Bob Thornton. I am not a huge Billy Bob Thornton fan, and him in the worst haircut ever didn't win me over.
The Juno Temple season is so good.
It's so good.
Now Les has watched more Fargo than I have.
Yeah. I went back and now I watched a lot more. When I'm done with season 1, the only one left is going to be for me to make another attempt at the Chris Rock season, and I'm sad.
Yeah, I don't think you want to do that. I don't
think that's going to work out. Also watched, because Lisa suggested it, we watched a couple of episodes of a British show called Would I Lie to You? Man, the British do panel shows in a way that we just don't. Goofy quiz shows that don't have any prizes. This is basically just a liars club where you get 2 panels of 3 comedians each, and they just tell whopper lies that are kind of set up in different little gimmicks. And the other team has to guess if they're bullshitting. The best thing that they do is walk out a random person who just has to stand there. Like if this were a US version, they'd be in like a glass box elsewhere on the stage. Nah, they're just right there, like as close as me to Nick. And then everybody on the panel has to say, oh, this is Les. He's my friend from such and such that taught me so-and-so. And then the next person like, no, that's Les. I know him from such and such. And like, then the other team just has to like ask questions of like, okay, so you're saying that Les taught you how to do professional wrestling. When did that start? Like you just start quizzing them on until you're sure who's bullshitting. Very, very British, but also very fun. And then tit for tat, I had to show her another British show, Taskmaster, which I believe was a...
Why?
Yeah, it was a showrunner show that we watched a year or two ago. And
I forget who had us watch that.
You got to pick your battles on Taskmaster. It is incredibly British. Some of the episodes are just British, and then some of them are hilarious. It depends really on how fucked up the prank is that they make them do. And so, or how goofy the task is. There's the best thing I've seen so far on Taskmaster is that they were all told to pick a bunch of food. They got their pick, and then they had to decorate their face as an edible mask. And then the guy judging it ate their face. Oh, not taken off of them, but like they were leaned back in a chair with it over them, and he leaned down and
Oh, well, this was definitely pre-COVID.
It is definitely pre-COVID. It is so awkward. And watching the comics try to sit there, it's so weird. They make them guess various pies, like shepherd's pies. One of them's full of marbles. One of them's full of it has a photo of the host in it. Like they're unguessable, right? Only one of them, I think, in the entire thing was like a normal pie. It was still British normal, like steak and kidney. One of them, though, toothpaste pie. And someone figured out that like they give them different rules. Someone figured out, well, I can't bite into the pie, but I can ask the guy behind the camera if he will bite into the pie. And the dude said yes. And then takes the largest bite of an all toothpaste pie that I have ever seen or imagined, and then chews it and eats it. Ugh. It is a long minute of television of like, he's going to throw up. That's too much toothpaste to swallow, man. Absolutely wild.
That sounds awful.
Watched Mr. and Mrs. Smith, watched some Quantum Leap. Because it was Valentine's Day and I was feeling sappy, I watched The Night Before Christmas. That's with a K-N-I-G-H-T. Which is one of Netflix's cheesy Christmas movies. And then I watched Saltburn. Have you seen Saltburn, Mike?
No.
Or heard about Saltburn?
Yeah, I saw the trailers. Doesn't really seem like my vibe.
So I'm just going to go ahead and spoil Saltburn for a lot of people.
Do it.
You've heard about the bathtub water drinking scene, maybe.
Yeah.
Dude's in love with the other person. They get out of their bathtub. He presses his face against the bottom of it, and then sensually tongues a bathtub drain. Nowhere close to the most fucked up thing in that movie. Character dies, and Barry Keogh fucks the shit out of that grave.
Okay.
That's such a weird... I don't know.
No other way to put it.
I don't know if there's a not weird way to put it.
There's not weird way to put it.
Really,
I mean,
that just sounds like some try-hard edgelord bullshit.
Oh my god!
Like it speaks to Les actually watched the whole thing because he he fucked the shit out of it.
Oh no, no. So the scene goes on long enough.
So the scene is definitely
that
long.
When it starts, I looked over at Lisa and was like, "Oh, thank God!" For a minute there, I thought he was gonna fuck. Okay, like it because there's a moment I was like, okay, he's no, we're not gonna do. No, he's still getting naked. Oh, okay, he's put it in. That's a grave, sir.
My God.
Like that's a yeah. Absolutely weird movie. Strangest remake of Talented Mr. Ripley I've ever seen. It's not a remake of that. It's just similar themes. Yeah. Holy crap, what a weird movie. It's not worth watching, but there you go. If that sounds like something that you have ever even thought would be funny to watch on screen, now you know what you're in for.
Who's the filmmaker who did The Lobster?
Well, Yorgos Lanthimos. Okay. That's not that
right.
Bad. Yorgos Lanthimos.
Saltburn kind of looked like a wannabe Lanthimos movie, but without the substance or soul.
Yeah, it's a super stylish Mr. Ripley kind of ripoff. It's not. Barry Keogh does a great job in it. He really does. He is asked to do some phenomenally weird stuff, and clearly that dude will do it. But yeah, that's what I get for watching Oscar contenders.
Man, Barry, that guy needs to, I don't know, like donate 10% of his salary to Ezra Miller.
Right.
Because now that Ezra Miller is out of the picture, he's like, I'm going to slide right in there.
So
I'm going to fill that void.
I think this is the second. I really have not seen that much stuff with that dude in it. I mean, he's in that weird deleted scene or extra scene of Joker in the Batman, which is terrible.
Eternals. He has a bunch of stuff coming up.
Yeah, so I think Eternals is the only other movie I really remember him from, and I would watch Saltburn again in a heartbeat before watching Eternals again.
Eternals is so boring.
Oh my God. I will say one thing, even though there are stretches of dullness, Saltburn is not as boring as Eternals. Mm-hmm. Maybe if one of the deviants had fucked a grave. And I think, I can't imagine what else would happen. What would come after that? That's the end of my TV diaries.
All right. Well, now feels like a pretty perfect moment to remind everyone that you can support the TV Dudes at patreon.com.
Shit.
Oh, shit.
Almost forgot. I've guested on a bunch of Mike's podcasts recently, so I think it's only fair that Mike tell us all about Intergalactic Pod.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think you recorded about 3 with me already. We're going to do some more. So Intergalactic, the full title of the podcast is Intergalactic Reviewing Essential Sci-Fi. And if there were to be a second subtitle, it would be Mike wants to watch a bunch of fun sci-fi movies with his friends.
Part 2.
Over Zoom, and that's a podcast. So that's what it is. But it's been going on for a couple months. It's essentially me and my buddy Clyde Haynes from Star Trek Discovery Pod, who probably back in the day guested on this show too. We started watching Stargate, started doing some Stargate reviews on this podcast, and the podcast kind of grew to incorporate some of the best sci-fi movies ever made and some of the worst. So we have a couple different series where we talk about Stargate, another one where we're going through some of the best Babylon 5 episodes, another one where we're going through, like I said, some of the best sci-fi movies ever made. Les, you guessed it on a few. I've done 12 Monkeys so far. I just recorded one on Star Trek First Contact. Les talked with me about Starman. That's going to come out pretty soon. Man from Earth, kind of a indie sci-fi movie that's really great. And then we have another series called Sci-Fi B-Sides, where we talk about crap like Space Truckers.
Yeah, and I was thrown, man. You sent me that list, and you had some of the classics like Best on there by accident. So I rescued a couple off of that. I think I pulled Jason X off of that list. Obviously, that's a sci-fi essential.
Fucking A, Jason X.
I like how, like, I think it was a day of we were supposed to record like the Man from Earth conversation. I was like, I just texted you like, hey, do you want to do Jason X tonight too? Right away. Yes, I do.
I remember you were like, I'm so surprised anyone picked Jason X. Like, of course I did. It's the second best.
Yeah, and that was a blast, and it's the first time I'd seen that movie, and it was super fun. But yeah, essentially, if you're into sci-fi at all and want to listen to some people who are really into sci-fi talk about all types of sci-fi, whether it's movies or B-level TV shows like Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda, stuff like that, intergalacticpod.co.
Nice.
Good stuff. All right, now it feels like the ideal time to mention our Patreon. So you can support us with a buck an episode and gain access to exclusive content. This week, that exclusive content contains Mr. and Mrs. Smith, with a look back at the Doug Liman, Brad Pitt, and Angelina Jolie movie version, after we've talked about the TV version.
Yeah. Here. Which it turns out I never saw in the first place. I just thought I did. I was mistaken. I had seen This Means War. Not the same movie at all. For those looking for more, there are higher levels at the Patreon as well, where you can choose the show topic for an upcoming week. A few weeks ago, John Paul picked a show. You could pick a show. Just lay down your $20, tell us what to watch, and we'll go watch it.
That's right. You fork over $20, and we will watch and discuss at least 4 episodes of any show of your choosing.
But today, we are focusing on Amazon's Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I'm Jane.
I'm John.
Love and happiness.
Banking card and marriage registration.
something that can make you do
We're married.
Yeah, I guess we're married.
make you do right.
They didn't bring up that we'd be paired until the last interview.
It's an old KGB tactic. They draw less attention as a couple.
Very romantic.
Don't do that.
Sorry.
It's just a job. It is not life and death.
With all these versions, you would think that they were trying to perfect the recipe or something. Mike, as our special guest, what were your expectations diving into this show?
I never watched the original movie. It just wasn't. I mean, I really like Brad Pitt. I really like Angelina Jolie. The movie just looked like basic, boring, mass appealing trash. So when I heard this IP was up for grabs and I heard Donald Glover had grabbed it, I was pretty excited. And I think the initial reports were that he was working on it with Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, these are
Yeah.
two great tastes that probably taste great together.
And I wanted to see some
apparently
Atlanta
not, because
Fleabag.
she left the
Damn.
show.
Yeah.
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 And so like this, so I figured, okay, if Glover is running the show and there's a couple of Atlanta writers on it, this is going to be all Glover. It's going to be his vibe, which I'm here for. I love. And essentially that's what it was, but less, actually not groundbreaking like Atlanta, but definitely idiosyncratic and interesting. That's what I figured I would get going in. And yeah, I wasn't disappointed. That's what I got, pretty much.
I found myself having a weird poker face feeling almost every episode, not because of the structure of it or anything, but simply because every episode of this, there's like an A-list level
Guest star.
Yeah.
guest star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like big enough that you would think they would persist. Like you don't bring on John Turturro to kill him that episode, but here you do.
Mhm.
I also wasn't sure going into it how much spy stuff would it be. My big fear with Donald Glover, as much as I loved Atlanta, it's not exactly fun to watch. It's not a show that like, oh hey, you want to sit down and watch some TV? Sure, throw on Atlanta. Like, man, that episode's going to really say something. My worry is that with Donald Glover projects is that in the interest of doing something important, we're going to do something that is not fun or funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it's television, guys. Like I
Yeah.
want it to be fun.
Yeah, I think I'm a big Donald Glover fan. I think it's obvious he's a very personal storyteller and someone who has earned the clout to produce some really great idiosyncratic personal projects on the big corporation's dime, right? And this is one of them. So I'm here for that big time. And like this is not groundbreaking like Atlanta, but it is very Donald Glover and very special, and it is funny.
Yeah.
And Maya Erskine has just a unique charm, and I really love her. But that said, around episode 4, this season started feeling like work. It was art, it was good art, but it was like tough to watch. It was tough to watch how real the personal hell this couple was going through was,
the
especially if you're
marriage
married.
stuff.
Less you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
It became
marriage
less
stuff
about
was
entertainment and
real.
more about like work. Like,
There were-
okay, I'm watching art now,
Glover is
which
said
is
in
fine,
conversations.
but it's hard to watch.
Glover said in conversations that he's pulled some of this stuff from his marriage, like from his relationship to Michelle
Oh
White.
yeah, you could tell.
And there's a couple of times where he like pins her on like something racist, and then like, but he's just fucking with her.
What do you mean
And-
black voice?
Yeah. What do you? No, but do it.
But
Do
do
it.
it.
No, but how will I know what
No,
it
now I
sounds
don't
like
wanna
if you
do
don't
it.
do it? Like, and
I
you could
feel
just
like I
see
should
the
do it.
set, and I was like, Nick, I'm going to show you a photo of Donald Glover's wife, and you tell me that conversation has never happened verbatim in their house.
Honestly, I think that might have had a fight when he got home. Like
I-
you see in that episode, like, whoa, you put
Whoa.
like dirty laundry.
Right, that is word for word.
Hey, what the fuck?
So I was a little worried that it would be an all awkward marriage show, like just the Between Two Ferns and no spy stuff. I really had no fear that it would be all spy stuff and no, I mean, it's Donald Glover, right? Like
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be very heartfelt, you know, Squid and the Whale spy.
Well, it's interesting that it's much more 70s spy vibe with a lot of the action, and there's a lot of surveillance and running after people and chases, but not a lot of like explosions and gunfights. There's a pretty good one with the Ron Perlman episode that feels big, and it feels big when it happens because it's and then the finale, when the big fight in the finale feels big and effective because they don't shoot all the time.
Yeah.
Which I thought is like, that's probably what they were going for.
The most interesting thing I think that Nick and I were discussing throughout this is the way that it plays the spy stuff as the principal problem here for spies is that your information is compartmentalized, and that means that you don't really know what you're doing. Because there's so often that we're like,
man,
is this a fail?
So
I mean, what are you guys supposed to do here?
The plot is simultaneously kind of interesting, but also doesn't make a lot of sense considering the Hi or their handler gives them details on a mission, and really okay, so even in Archer, like the parody version of this, they give you a dossier on your target, all this information on like what's the goal, what you need, secondary objectives. And it feels clandestine and Black Ops to not give them that, but also I'm like, yeah, but then they have no idea whether or not to save this woman from a kidnapping.
Right, the ski couple. Like, is he breaking the rule to rescue that woman, or is it what you're supposed to do? We don't know.
I don't really know.
Same as the very first, I think it's the very first mission they go on, where they have to intercept a package and deliver, and it ends up being it's a very twisted metal MacGuffin. They open it up and it's a cake. It's not a pint of ice cream. It's a cake, and they're walking out of there like, fuck, did we just deliver a cake? And then the house explodes.
Blue. Yeah.
So where was that supposed to go?
Right. Who was it supposed to blow up if not them?
Like we were sitting there like, man, there's no way to figure out what your job is or who your boss. Like,
also, God forbid if they had stayed for drinks.
Oh my God. Yeah. Because like she says no and he says yes. If they'd stayed for drinks, they'd be dead.
There's some things that is like cool spy stuff, but practically it made me realize that, oh yeah, you just need more info to do this right.
It's like, okay, Charlie, this is an insane way to run Angels. I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
This is no way to run Angels.
And I think that's where some of the Donald Glover stuff comes in, because obviously he's not very interested in the details of the high or the spy hijinks. He's using it more as a metaphor for the risk that you take when you are trying to build something with your life, maybe in the corporate world, and you don't know what that's like, but you're taking risks trying to get to that next level, which is what they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the point where you're like, man, I just want to deliver packages, I think.
Yeah, they made more of it than I thought they would with the decision of, do you want kids or not? I don't have kids, and I've never wanted kids, so that's already never a plot line that hits quite for me the way that writers I think want it to. But in this show, I was screaming at the TV, "You fool, you idiot, you insane person. I'm sorry, Maya is Jane is completely right to ignore your entire argument. Everything out of your mouth is stupid. Like, what do you mean have a kid right now? Well, like, you're not having the kid. She's the one going to be doing these missions while getting progressively more pregnant. None of that's on you. Like, not a drop of that will hit you. And then also, you guys just got back from a mission where what would you have done with the baby during it? At any point, anywhere, or a toddler, worse, or a 2-year-old that can walk around, worse. Like basically, it's just gonna get shittier. I don't care if you're delivering packages or murdering people. You can't do any of it with a child. And he's like, we won't be the first people to bring a child into a dangerous situation. Like, no,
not like this.
Not like this. Like when people are, or like when I was in my 20s and talking to friends and like, well, I don't know, the world's just so dangerous and bad. I just don't know if I'd bring a kid into it. They weren't actively volunteering for high risk bad like these people are. Like, no, man, you guys can't even be discussing this. This is stupid.
I think it speaks to
Mike's. So mad.
I think it speaks to Mike's point that they want that argument for the relationship element of it, of like they're stuck together and at least have to maintain this cover. So any other relationship is going to be kind of out of the question. So that's a big divide that he wants to have kids and she doesn't.
Yeah,
and we're not supposed to think about how the practical side of it. Like,
yeah,
the metaphor kind of falls apart because of the extremity of the spy stuff.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, we can't. I want to have children, but no, but we can't because we're working in our career. Okay, that's relatable and universal, but not in this specific sense because nobody has that job when they're jet setting all across the world killing people.
Yeah,
right.
There's a lot of spots where, this is the reason this keeps getting remade. There's a lot of spots where our dangerous shared career works exactly like everybody else's relationship arguments and just makes it funny. Because they're not talking about boring software stuff. They're talking about dangerous CIA type stuff. But this is one of the spots where it just breaks. Like you can't have the kids discussion at all.
Well,
but it's fun to see Ron Perlman act like a baby for a whole episode.
Oh my Lord. So all the guest stars were pretty great. Perlman's affect of just Mom, want a cigarette. Like he's just, I don't like this. Like I
at the end of that episode where he's like, I want to tell you guys what I did. Yeah, we don't care.
That was great. No, man, I don't think I'm supposed to know that.
and I was like, I was kind of curious.
But I also
the show was not interested
in
that. I was wondering, Mike, did you get the vibe? Because we kind of got that the practicality of like the Hi was giving Jane information that John didn't get. I thought that the handler was fucking with them and making them like if the handler's fucking with them and wants them to fail a couple times, like that would make more sense to me as far as why it not giving them information and like, oh, they're not really supposed to succeed. I thought that was where that was going. And now I don't think so.
Or something with it, because there were so many moments where Hi felt passive aggressive. They even mention it. The notes saying, congratulations, Jane, or like
right.
There's little digs, like
little things, yeah.
And again, anybody that's had an in-law has felt this weird favoritism of a partner or something like that. It feeds into that relationship tension thing that they want the show to do, but they are wholly uninterested in the organization, how the spy stuff works, where that's going. None of it. No. We the woman that he's supposed to, I'm blanking on the actress's name, Michaela.
Oh, Michaela Cole.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the other agent.
She's awesome.
They tease us with this idea that she works for a competing agency, and he was starting to get some info on how this might be structured. But then you remember that, oh wait, the show does not care about this pointedly,
which is weird that they keep teasing us with it.
There's so much of it, and then they do nothing with any of it.
Well, I mean, we didn't even talk about Skarsgård.
Oh my Lord! It opens with
Gonzalez.
With Isla Gonzalez and Alexander Skarsgård in it for a minute and a half. Like I really thought that was going to come into play more.
That was going to come back like
no, it purely exists as showing us that this job kills you as retirement. We knew that. They're spies.
Well, also maybe we shouldn't know that. Like we should be wondering what happens when you get 3 fails.
Right.
Like
right.
Maybe that should be a mystery.
But we don't have to wonder because we kind of know it at the open for an incredibly expensive opening shot. Also, good God, the effect on blowing Skarsgård's face apart.
That was great.
Man, they really showed that for a moment. I was like, holy shit. But it set the tone for the violence.
Who was your favorite guest star? Was it Ron Perlman?
Probably Perlman.
Mine's always going to be Parker Posey in everything. So
it's probably, I was so happy to see Parker Posey, but I think Perlman's, the way he played it stole it. Like he's so often the heavy now. And to see him be this just like,
slowly,
man,
like
from the jump, from him waking up and like doing like 4 lines of coke and like sitting and like smoking a cigarette and then immediately try to like, I think I'm having a heart attack. Like, no, dude, no, not buying it. If you're having a heart attack, it's because the 4 lines of coke you did for breakfast, and fuck you. Like it's just on
I've seen him play gangsters so often, but I think also what's her name for the therapy episode?
Oh man, she was so great.
Yeah,
and I forget that actress's name every single time that I see her on screen. It's remarkable. Sarah Paulson.
Sarah Paulson.
And they burn her fucking house down. her obnoxious kid, like every time the kid yells mom, it's either preceded by glass breaking or mom, there's a fire. Like, that's just great.
What about you, Mike? Who's your favorite?
Parker Posey.
Parker Posey?
I've loved her vibe ever since the 90s, obviously. And she's just herself through and through, even when she's trying to be the one who's going to ultimately kill them at the end. She's just like, okay, open up the fucking door.
I really liked her John, Pablo Escobar from the Narcos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great too.
Yeah.
He sneezes in threes.
It's so great. It's like, why did we like that?
I don't know.
The
sort of spell.
So I think in like the second or third episode, I was really surprised. Like also Nick, like one episode ended, Nick was like, I'm into this.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to as much as I have gotten irritated at this show for not caring about the spy stuff and for being so much an awkward relationship thing and not. There is actually a lot of spycraft stuff that's really fun to watch. I dig that low tech 70s. This went wrong. You got to chase somebody down kind of spy thriller. But it speaks to how well the family stuff worked, that those moments feel so true and so real. Maya and Glover's ability to laugh together and like share a moment. It has that Fleabag. It has that Fleabag vibe of when she kind of pulls away and breaks the fourth wall. They pull back into their couple so well and joke with each other so well that it really does feel like two people getting to know each other. I was stunned. I can't imagine how much rehearsal that took, or how. I would love to know how those takes were shot. For like, how did you set up a place where you could have it feel that almost improv, like you guys almost like actually broke. Like when you watch SNL clips of like people like actually breaking and laughing or something. Like there's moments where I would swear Glover and Erskine like broke together, except that it's written in the script. When those moments work, the show really sings, and is something special that I had not seen before in a spy movie or a spy show.
Yeah, it is unique and it is special, and a lot of it is art. Some of it does become a slog for sure. And if you're in it for the spy stuff, eventually you're going to be disappointed because when you realize, oh, all this spy stuff is just a metaphor for the, being with someone and doing the work of being with someone while you're aging and trying to figure out life and marriage and career and all the decisions, micro and macro, that have to come into play with that kind of relationship. And it gets really dark and difficult. And this is about slogging through the work. Like you're going to be disappointed. But I think if they just trimmed some of these episodes a little bit and made them a little lighter on their feet, I think we'd be looking at maybe a classic here.
Yeah.
So maybe season 2 will get it right. I think there's definitely going to be season 2. I thought they killed the ending. I really enjoyed the ending.
Oh,
I was the opposite. I really hated the last episode.
Yeah, we have to disagree.
Wow.
Disagree on that.
The last episode, so almost all of it relies on the CW hook of neither of them actually saying you killed Max and you tried to kill my mom.
Yeah,
so it's like 60 minutes and 45 of it goes by with them firing literally every gun in the house at each other, but studiously Arrowverse style, never mentioning the one thing, like the reason you're mad. And like it's cute for a minute, and then it went on 45 minutes, 50 minutes, until they finally lay it on the ground after they've already had a kiss. So she kissed him thinking he shot her cat. Then she asks, why'd you kill Max?
I suppose we should spoiler warning.
Sure.
But for this last episode going forward. But yeah, the last episode is where I realized a lot of stuff that they were building up isn't going anywhere. Like the stuff with Hi. Like Paul Dano, I was like, oh, he's Hi. That's cool. Oh, no, he's not. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a fun
No, he's
thing.
Ralph Boner.
But then I was like, oh, I'd rather he be Hi than nobody be Hi.
Well, it's the moment that I realized, like, oh, I care about it's the way I feel in every Damon Lindelof show. That's interesting. Am I supposed to care about it? Yeah. Oh no, you're going to reveal at the end. If I'm mad about you not closing that story point, I'm the chump. Like I'm the asshole.
Well, there's the
because I'm not supposed to have cared about that.
There's the passive aggressive, the notes, the previous episode where he sends John the location. Like, there's a lot of like, wait, why did Hi do that? Why is Hi invested in them fighting each other?
And I thought that stuff mattered because they dropped all the episodes at once, and every single one of them has a recap.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought it was important. It's not.
No, it's just all about the relationship. Everything outside of the relationship is just a challenge for the relationship.
It's more a tell that they do not expect you to watch more than one of these in a sitting.
They start talking about Hi in a way that makes me think Hi is going to be an AI, and I don't want that. Yeah, like Hi knows everything.
Yeah, the way Narco and Posey, the John 2 and Jane 2, the way they call him the soup, like the building super. But they talk about him like he's an AI omniscient god.
Right. Like he knows everything. He knows things about me before I knew them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I looked over at Nick and was like, I mean, they're all working for the Buffalo Wild Wings app, so what's it matter?
I will say that the thing they do with the truth serum, that is pretty great in a way.
I've never seen that before.
I haven't seen that, and I think that was in the first episode or second episode.
It was like the
second episode.
Yeah, so with the John Tiro in the second, I think it's the second episode.
So they set that up early, and I was like, yes. So this is a way that they can openly communicate and honestly talk.
Though I'm almost certain there were 3 shots in that case. They used 2 on Totoro.
Yeah.
And then
they got some more in one of their missions.
Yeah, they must have gotten another one.
There's a bunch of missions that we don't actually get to see apparently. Like jumps time.
Yeah. But I did like the both of them just tripping balls and being way too honest was hilarious.
Yeah, I love it when you watch performers pretending they're high, but you're like, oh, these people have actually been really high. They know what's up.
Just laying on the floor, like it looks like they're on ecstasy.
When she's like, oh, this is real good.
Oh, I feel hugs on the inside.
Oh yeah, I feel hugs inside. Yeah. Yeah. And man, I've done interviews with people before about performances like that of like, hey, so we can do this off mic. I don't want to make this weird, but like, thank you for acting high and not being dumb about it. That's exactly what it should have looked like. I know. I knew you knew. So yeah, the ending frustrated me because I know they don't care about the plot of it. I don't need another season of this at all. Well, all the relationship moments were done perfectly. Doing them again would be a rehash. I don't necessarily want to see their relationship go forward into a more healthy, stable spot because we're not going to pay attention to anything else.
If you care about the relationship stuff, the next season would be a new Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Would be a new couple.
Yeah.
If that's what you cared about. Yeah. But if you care about the plot, which I want to see what happens, and with Hi and them going forward, which I realize that they're not interested in, I would bring back Glover and
Erskine. Yeah.
Erskine.
I'm interested in the exercise. Like, what metaphor for this for obstacles in the couple's way are they going to make? Are they going to turn Hi into next season? You know what I mean? How are they going to warp all this spy stuff as a metaphor for having a rewarding but difficult relationship with somebody you love who you're not compatible with, but you also don't want to separate from?
Yeah.
Which is insane.
I did like him milking a mission for like a full month to have an emotional affair.
Yeah,
that was dark and hilarious, and and gave you a lot of little moments of like, oh my god, I really think she's there because she's jealous. Nope, she's there for mission. Oh shit, she's there because Hi told her to be there. Oh shit, he's there because Hi. Like, that was definitely one of the spots where I was like, he is fucking with them, or they are fucking with them.
Yeah.
To what end?
And they don't. In the next episode, they immediately think that they're after each other, even though they just saw their handler fucking with them. It doesn't trigger their suspicion.
I think that's the other thing that bothered me is like neither of them have any suspicion in the last episode that maybe they're being played against each other. Yeah. Which is weird because I would by this point. But that said, in that last episode, there's still moments where I'm like, holy crap, this is elevated, amazing, better than most things on TV. I was frustrated when I realized that they didn't care about the through line that I really cared about. It was like, oh, we're just not going to do anything with that. Okay. There's no Hi. Stop worrying about it.
It's special, but not perfect or great.
Yeah,
for sure.
That said, I was afraid we'd get Swarm, and I hated Swarm. Did you watch that? The previous thing Donald Glover produced for Amazon.
Oh yeah, I didn't
serial
watch that.
killer. Dominique Fishback, I think, was the lead actress.
Yeah,
it's again, it does a couple of cool things. Like the guy can put a pro touch on things, but I really hated the way Swarm was handled. It's an infuriating show. And so I was deeply afraid that this would be that, or The Curse, or the worse, The Premise. Any number of shows that I've seen recently that were like just seemed to be screaming at me that they were important and that I should watch them. Like, man, I can flip to PBS if I want to flip to PBS. I need this from a show on Amazon Prime. But overall, I was happy with it. I would recommend the show to other people. I'm frustrated in the last episode, but that often happens in shows. I was pretty happy with the other ones. Overall, I think I would tell folks to give this a shot.
Yeah, I'd recommend it, especially if you're a Donald Glover fan, you like Atlanta, you liked Pen 15, you can sit through stuff that reminds you of the most uncomfortable, cringiest moments of your relationships.
That's the other reason I almost didn't watch this. I hated
it. You can find the humor in it. Yeah.
God, I hated Pen 15. Maya Erskine is so much better when she plays her own age.
Oh, okay.
Like her as, oh man, them two playing out of age junior high kids, I could not get my head around it. I remember interviewing her little brother in it, who's going to be Zuko in the live action Avatar pretty soon. Dallas Liu is the actor, and I remember getting to interview him for it and just having to cover of like, oh no, man, I liked your scene. It a show I hate. Because yeah, man, I did not get into that. It almost soured me on when I saw that she was the casting for, and it wasn't going to be Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I went, great, we went from Fleabag to Penguin 5. Yeah, this is not going to work for me. That's not an even trade. Nick, what do you think? Would you recommend it to people?
It's tough. I greatly enjoyed it in the beginning, and it's episode by episode. I think it's really good, but it doesn't pay off at the end in any plot way. You'd have to be really into the relationship and the emotional arcs of everyone, which is easy to do because it's done pretty well, but they tease enough of the plot stuff that I do end up getting I was very disappointed at that last episode of how no answers for how any of the spy stuff works or anything going forward. I guess I would say a hesitant yes.
That's fair.
If it's not for you, I think you'll figure it out by Ep4.
Yeah, I think you'll figure it out pretty quick. Well,
because that first episode, we were kind of like, until that explosion happened, and we were like, oh, okay.
When the cake blew up, I was like, I'm in.
All right, we got another episode.
And then by the end of the second episode, I was like, all right, I'm in for 4. And by the end of 4, I was like, all right, we're gonna break this up and watch some more tomorrow.
Seems like there's just enough to keep the action person interested a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say give it 2. You're either hooked or not.
It does become a hard binge around 4 for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at some point you're just going through marriage therapy with somebody. Like you need a break.
Well, the relationship breaks down so fast.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah.
You spend most of the season like there's no honeymoon period.
One last really cool bit of spycraft: trapping him in a revolving door.
Oh,
yeah, that was
great.
That
was awesome. I can't believe I don't see that more often. The look on his face when he realized what he needed to do, and like, I got to cover this with my jacket and then cram as far to the other corner. And then the way he walked, I mean, like the like stumbling out of it, like, coming out of that door, and the look on her face of like, ah, shit.
There's just, there's so shit like that when they do pay attention to the details, it's pretty good. Like that whole final chase was really great. They chased through New York, like, and to get back to their apartment where they're like all their weapons and stuff on.
God, when he gets hit by that cab, fuck.
Even like
that hurt.
Right. The New York of it all is great. I love actual shows that actually take place in New York and show you the city. This definitely did that. and their house. Oh my God.
I
love that that was Paul Dano's character arc.
I was so mad that he wasn't Hi-Hi, but also I fucking love that he was like, no, you're both software engineers. How? And beyond, it's
beyond even the money. It's like,
because I looked over,
can't get certain permits for this.
Yeah, I looked at Nick and was like, Manhattan real estate is so fucking crazy. Like it is its own, different than anywhere on the world. Like it is insane. And there's no way that you built that house and that somebody didn't go, no, but who built that? Well, how expensive? Well, those two paid for it? No. And then being a realtor and going to the city.
Talk about you every day. Yeah.
And then going to the city and looking at the permits and being like, there were no permits pulled for any of the, at that point, you've got a fucking Goonies treasure map mystery on your hands, and your neighbors are never going to let it go.
It's one of those things that's great about the show, but also makes no sense because then Hi-Hi and that organization are
sloppy.
Like they like it's you wouldn't want to draw that much attention with that big of a house in that in that like.
Right. Also, they shoot up that house. Oh my Lord. Oh man, that's all I kept thinking was like the tile's fucked. All that green Spanish tile. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that's about all for us for now. Tune in next week. We're going to explore the return of the Rose McIver sitcom Ghosts over on PBS. That's the US version, not that UK version. That's also the original. Mike, before we take off, tell folks where they can find you over on the internets.
You can find me on Insta and Threads at Mike Moody Garcia, and check out my podcast, intergalacticpod.co.
I can't believe you're not going to say the full title.
Intergalactic. The full title?
Intergalactic Pod, because Mike wants to watch classic movies with friends on Zoom and also other bad movies. Part 1.
Yes, that's the succinct title for my podcast.
Oh, wait, no, they dropped the part 1. It's like Dead Reckoning. It's just Dead Reckoning now.
Just Dead Reckoning, yeah.
I do like the B-sides for...
Yes.
That's a great title for that segment.
Yes.
But anyway, don't forget to head over to patreon.com/tvdudes to hear some bonus content like our review of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the movie.
So, until next time,
TV Dudes out.